Hello. I hope I'm streaming now. The disadvantage of... Is it going? I don't even know. Ha! There we are. Hello. I'm just going to run this without anybody in chat. That's fine. You can join me if you find the stream. This is just for me to post later on. This is a follow-up to a stream I did a couple of days ago. I'm working on this board game project, this How to Play project commissioned by Genius Games. They're the people who made Genotype and Periodic and a bunch of other, I was going to say quasi-educational. They're not quasi-educational. They're educational board games. So they sell through to school markets and people who are interested in, they want their board games to be about science and like ultra nerdy stuff. I always thought that Periodic would be a really good game if you were learning the periodic table, because it's a little bit like chess and you're moving your pieces all over the periodic table, and you kind of have to know them, or you have to learn the names of the elements, because those are it's like if you were playing Monopoly, you learn like Baltic Avenue, you learn like those Atlantic City neighborhoods and street names when you're playing it. So it's a similar thing. I'm not saying that the game is anything like Monopoly. In the board game world, that's kind of throwing shade at something if you're comparing it to Monopoly. Nobody wants to be compared to Monopoly. Oh, hey, Michael Todd's here. Good to see you, MT Hammer. So I'm going to preface this, like I said last time, this is not intended to be entertaining at all. This is not an entertaining live stream, and those are words I'll live by. This is like a work hangout. So I'm working on this project for Genius Games for their math game Outnumbered. Let me just scroll to something a bit more interesting. So that's a bit what the board looks like. And I have a thing that I show clients when they kind of want to know where I am with their project. So this is one that I did for a client who wanted me to build the video for Era of Tribes. If you know the game, if you saw the video on the channel. So these time blocks are largely based on, that's an old one actually. Let's get a new one up here. Yeah, we'll get the one for Distilled up. So this is one that I recently gave to Dave Beck from Paverson Games for Distilled, which, by the way, launched on Kickstarter just this morning. No, today's Wednesday, launched yesterday. And within the first half hour, they blew through their goal. They did very, very well. So if you're interested in getting on board that hype train, that's Distilled on Kickstarter. So this is a roadmap I gave to Dave, the client for Distilled, that shows the different parts of the process of creating one of these videos and sort of where he was at the time that I sent, or where I was on his project at the time I sent this image. Michael Todd, I assume you can hear me, right? Just like type nod if just like the entire time. So at this point in the Outnumbered project, all of this stuff is done, and in the last live stream we did this stuff right here, Edit Pass A. Now, sometimes I do things out of order, and this green section in the middle is where I film the host, which for almost all of the videos is me, but sometimes I've had my kids come on and host, and my wife Cheryl hosts a video, but it's going to be me for this one as well. But I don't want to do that now. I want to do Edit Pass B right now. So this is kind of relegated to past Edit Pass B. What is Edit Pass B? What is Edit Pass A? Well, if you saw the last live stream, that's where I have done this part, the photography. So I've done all the stop motion photography for the game, and I have all the pictures that I need, and I've categorized them, and I've labeled them and put them in folders and bins. And then I've done Edit Pass A, where it's kind of like a giant jigsaw puzzle. I've recorded the script that I've written, so I've voiced it over, including all the Ryan shots. I voiced those over too. And then I take that and I edit out all the swear words when the washing machine goes off, or I hear people walking around, or my phone rings or whatever in the middle of it. So I bleep the whole thing, cut it all down so it's nice and clean. And then I lay that down on the timeline. This is Adobe Premiere Pro. So the green stuff where you see the little spiky peaks, he says he sees me. Look, that says he sees me. Nice haircut. I got to look at myself on here. Is this giving you the impression that I have a haircut? I got to make sure. No, that's not a haircut. That's a haircut. It's nothing like a haircut. I'm shaggy. I need a haircut, that's for sure. So this green bit down here, this is called a track, and this is called a timeline. So we're moving in time from left to right, from beginning to end. And what I've done with Edit Pass A, I've taken all those photographs and I've dropped them in the visual timeline, V1, above the audio timeline, A1, and just slotted them all in, like I say, like a jigsaw puzzle. And I've sort of timed the photography to the speech. So I'll give you a good example. You'll hear me say something about, well, let's just play it.
But these bad guys are closing in.
So these bad guys are closing in. They don't move until I say closing in. So that's when I time out all the photography to the audio track. These orange sections were put in there during a process that I call blocking, a term I stole from musical theater back in my theater days. That's where I block out all the orange bits. You can see down here, there's a bunch of them. That's where all the Ryan shots are going to be. And I do that, it's not a necessary step, but I do that just to maintain sanity. Michael Todd says hair curl. Oh yeah, he said hair curl. I can't read the text is so small. I thought he said haircut. You had pirate bedhead. Yeah, Michael Todd and I have a pirate thing going. He's coming over this weekend to play games. I'm very excited about that. So these orange sections are where all the Ryan shots are going to go once I film them and cut them up. But notice that I've recorded the audio for the Ryan shots just as sort of like a dummy placeholder thing.
How to stop the villains in their tracks.
So you can hear me talking. And one of the reasons I do that is because it's nice to be able to lay the audio track down on the timeline and then zoom way out like this using this bar down here and just say, oh, look, the video is going to be 8 minutes and 40 seconds. And that sort of helps me manage expectations. So in this case, the video is delightfully short. It's only 8 minutes. Usually my videos are more like 20 to 25 minutes for a medium weight game. And this is one of the reasons I'm doing these live streams with this particular project, because it's a nice tight little project and I hopefully can get chunks of it done on a live stream. The other reason that I record the Ryan stuff is that in past projects, I don't do this as much anymore, but I sometimes I'll miss getting a Ryan shot. I'll show you what the script looks like just so you see what I'm following when these Ryan shots happen. I'll bring that on the screen here. So this is my script, and anytime that something is highlighted in orange, that's where Ryan is going to do like a little host, or the host, whoever the host happens to be, is going to do a little host appearance. And usually they're in areas, as I mentioned before, where I can't picture what goes on the screen. Maybe it's a little, I'm explaining kind of a conceptual rule. There's nothing visually to depict, or I'm prefacing a new section. So I'm saying like, oh, now let me tell you about blah, and that'll be a Ryan shot. So when I actually sit down and do the Ryan shots, I go through the script and I just bang them out one after another. And I may even live stream that process too. But I do about 3 takes per line, usually the same reading or different readings. I have a problem with my stomach. My stomach will growl when I read VO or when I do the Ryan shots, especially because I get really, really anxious and tense when I'm on camera. So I'll squeeze my stomach muscles, and I found that really leads to tummy gurgles happening. So I do 3 takes just to make sure, and I can't always hear it when I'm doing the take that my stomach is wrecking the take. So I'll do 3 takes for safety. Then when I go back into the edit suite, I'll make sure to get the take without stomach growling. But if you keep your ears open in certain videos, you can still hear every once in a while a little Winnie the Pooh like little stomach growling. All right. So that's a little bit about that step in the process. But what is this process? This is called Edit Pass B. This is, of all the things that are on this timeline, I like doing most of these things. I hate doing the photography. That's the worst part of it. And the annotating, where I'm writing down the shot list that you saw in that script, is also not a very fun part. So here's all the shots that I've annotated at the side here using comments. This is Google Docs. I don't really like those 2 parts of the process, but this Edit Pass B is my favorite part of the process, and it's also the part of the process that's the most work. So maybe I just love doing lots of work. I don't know. Rado would probably say yes, he does. So what is Edit Pass B? Well, there are a couple of things that I need to do with the video, important things that give it that nice around the table difference. And one of them is that there's no hands on the screen. So if I have dialogue saying like, oh, you put your thing over here, or you look at this area of the board or whatever, instead of having a big, hairy, beefy man hand like in your face, like blocking your view of things, which I never really like when I'm watching videos, I will elegantly, I think, highlight those areas of the screen. Now that's a whole lot of work, as you'll soon see, because what I have to actually do is screenshot the thing, go into a separate program, trace it out by hand, put a little glow filter on it, drop out the background, export it to a ping, bring it into a folder, drag it into Premiere, and then put it on the timeline. Yeah, I do that. I do that for, and these highlights stay up for about a fraction of a second on the screen. So part of this is me sort of saying, look at the work I do for you. And then the other thing that I'm going to do, especially for games that involve a lot of card elements, like this game has a bunch of cards in it, and a recent one I did, Dungeon and Kingdom, lots of cards, is instead of photographing those cards on the board with stop motion, the more elements you have on the board, the more likely you are to pooch it. The more likely you are to be moving one thing and then your elbow or the ball of your fist bumps something, and then you've blown the shot. It's burning the shot. So when I have cards flying around, I prefer to do that digitally. I'm not doing that on the board because it's a lot less error prone, but it is time consuming. So what I do from this point on is and I've separated this into two different processes, because I used to do edit pass A and edit pass B. These all just used to be just editing. And I found that if I make it a little bit more like last stream I talked about, like Ford's approach to assembly line, building a car, it's less efficient if you have a guy riveting the door on and then painting the back fender. It's better if you have one guy who just paints the back fender all day, because he'll be really fast at it, and one guy who just rivets the door on the car and just does doors all day long. That's going to burn out the person a lot faster, but they'll get it done quicker. So that's it. I burn myself out, but get it done fast. So I'll start at the very beginning, and I'll just play until I see something that needs highlighting or an animation. So here we go.
This truck is carrying the Infinity Generator down to the Atomics lab.
Now I want to make sure, Michael Todd, if you're still there, or Michael Joyce, hello, welcome back, Michael. The distilled video was great, Michael says. Why, thank you, Michael. Now I'm trying to get my wife to actually pay attention and tell me if she's into it. My wife, Cheryl, who you saw in the last live stream, was into it. We set that game up. And again, I don't know what to expect from these paid projects. Sometimes they're often new game designers, and I think Paperson Games is pretty new to the game. And so I don't know what to expect when I put this thing on the table. And we played it, and we were like, yeah, that was fun. That was fun, and it felt different than a lot of the games that I have in my collection. So I don't say this about a lot of the games. I try to keep most of my stuff editorial free, but I will throw Dave and Paverson a bone there. We quite enjoyed the game, and I was sad to see it shipped out this week, for what that's worth. What was I saying? Yes.
Atomics lab.
Oh, right. I was going to ask if you guys can hear the audio from the computer. I hope you can. I'm just going to watch my levels here as I play and make sure that that's doing its thing. Desktop audio.
But these bad guys.
Yeah, should be going. Okay, so here we go.
Atomics lab. But these bad guys are closing in. If they break through our defenses, they'll steal the Infinity Generator, and we'll lose. And there's only one way to stop them. With math. So, put the truck up here.
So far, so good. Nothing needs to be highlighted or animated or anything.
And the barricades down here. Deal everyone a hero card.
So, deal everyone a hero card. That's the very first instance where we need to have the hero cards on the screen. You know what I should have done before I started this live stream is the client has in an email. So I mentioned this in maybe not this live stream, but in a previous one. I do two types of things. I'll either get commissioned and paid to make a video, or in order to grow the channel, build an audience, and impress publishers with the work that hopefully they'll later hire me to do. I'll take a game that I've already paid for that's been on my shelf for a while, and I'll film that and make a video out of that for freebies. And wouldn't you be lucky if you were a publisher to get a free video on Knights Around the Table? I think these days, I think that's pretty cool. I hope so. I hope there's value in those. So what I do when I take it off my shelf is if I need cards flying around the screen, I'll take them in the physical components and put them on my scanner. And the drawback of that is that you can see the what is it called? The dot pattern, the pitch offset. I don't know what the printing term is, but you know how you print in layers of dots on something. So you can actually see the print process on the card if I scan it. Even if I scan it at a higher DPI, you can still kind of see that it's a scanned printed element, which isn't so good. So what's a better approach is if I ask publishers to provide me with their high-res digital assets to use in their videos. And if they have commissioned me to do the thing, I actually make that a condition of working together. I say, you kind of got to provide that because it's going to save me tons of time and it'll make your video look a lot better. And that's no problem with the people who are commissioning me. The people who don't commission me, though, it's been recently, it's, I don't know, it's maybe 50-50. Most of the publishers I talk to are really worried that if they let their if their high-res assets get out, they're going to get their game pirated. And I think it's a legitimate concern. Unfortunately, I've heard tons of tales of people buying games on Amazon, and they get the thing and it's like the box is kind of janky and the colors are all muted and the components that they get in the box aren't what they see on, you know, images of Board Game Geek that other people have taken of their games. And then they find out like, oh man, I got like the counterfeit copy of this board game. That stinks. So recently, one of these counterfeiters, who's apparently notorious for knocking off board games and selling them on Amazon, has just been sued by Asmodee. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Anyway, suffice it to say, they get a little bit nervous, these publishers, and they don't really know me that well, and I ask them for assets. But I've pled my case to most of them, and most of them have said, yeah, absolutely, you can use our assets, that's great, love your videos, go for it. And some, like I said, it takes a little bit of convincing, and in the convincing I kind of say, like, if you were to buy this video, it would cost you, and they're like, okay, have some assets. Just sure, that worked. So there have only been a couple that it's been a little bit of a struggle to get assets from them. I'm just over here in another monitor looking for the assets that this client, Genius Games, has provided me. And another thing that's really, that these guys did that's really, really nice is they've, when you provide your artwork as a publisher to the printer, you don't have rounded corners on it. They print like full bleed on sheets of card, I guess, and then they have a die that cuts it out in the card shape that makes it a rectangle with rounded corners. So when a lot of these guys send me their artwork, and I'm just saving it off here on the side here, assets, let's make a folder called assets. So when they provide me with their assets, all their cards are like, they've got like straight corners and they're a little bit bigger because the, you know, it's not cropped yet. It hasn't been cut by a die, nor is it going to because it's on the screen. So what I have to do is I have to go into Photoshop, and you would think that this is a process that I could repeat no matter what, but people give me different cards at different sizes. So I actually have to create a macro in Photoshop that just batch processes all the cards that they give me and crops them and cuts those rounded corners in so that it looks like a card going on the screen instead of like a pre-print graphic. So much work, so much work. Let me just save these hero cards off to the side. So I know it's not quite a lot to look at on the screen quite yet. Let me check in and see how you guys are doing in chat. As a side gig, Michael Todd says, wait, Deem Explain says bananas, which is important. As a side gig, you can pirate their gig. Yeah, Michael Todd, don't. Michael Todd's suggesting that as a side gig, I can take the graphics that those publishers supply me and pirate their games. One of the things that I say to them to reassure them that I'm not going to pirate their game, first of all, is that I'm not in the business of pirating games. And second, that I only have so much drive space. And when I'm finished with a project, I delete the assets they gave me. They just go because I don't need to have them kicking around anymore. The only things I'll save, and these are basically publishers are fine to have these freely floating around, are the title graphic on an isolated transparent background, because I use that for my thumbnails and I just hang on to those in case I need them for anything else. And sometimes when it's a game that I know that I'm going to be doing more with, like if there's an expansion and I've done a video for the base game, I'll hang on to the assets with the hope of doing the expansion, you know, in the near future, which also benefits the publisher. So it's nothing skeezy going on there. Michael Todd says, Ryan 3D prints a game, a series where you wear a pirate hat and steal things. Michael Todd, no. It's just, no. If he had the channel, that's what he'd be doing. Is this the ESPN Sports live stream? Yes, Don, it is. So you can see soon I'll be tackling big, beefy men on the football field. Won't that be exciting? Stick around. I don't know. I don't watch sports. Is that what they do? They tackle each other? Is that what they do in badminton? I'm not sure. What was I doing? Yes, off to the side on a monitor that you can't see. I was just going to expand this assets folder. Again, sorry, I should have done this before I started the stream. I knew there was something I was forgetting. Extract here. So in there's another folder that you can't see that's off the screen. These are called bins in Premiere Pro, and that's where you keep your pieces, your graphics, your bits of video, your audio, what have you. And so for most of this process, I'm going to keep this off the screen because I have a flow, and for Edit Pass B, it needs to be off on this other monitor. But let me just bring these hero cards in that the client so graciously provided, and I'll show you what I need in Edit Pass B when I need one to come on the screen. So right here I say,
Deal everyone a hero card.
deal everyone a hero card. So there's a couple ways that I could go. There's the lazy way.
Everyone a hero.
So a hero card. So I'll put, I have like a drop shadow on here, and I will take it, and in effect controls, I'm going to keyframe its position. So design wise, it's not nice to have something dead center vertically, so I'll move it up a little bit, and that's where I want it to end up. I'll drop what's called a keyframe, which is an animation term, which is remembering, depending on the program, position, rotation, and scale. In Premiere Pro, I'm just telling it to remember the position. So at this point in time, I want it to remember this position. So I'll drop a keyframe in. Then I'll go 1, 2, 3, drop another keyframe, 1, drop a keyframe, 1, drop a keyframe, 1, drop a keyframe. You're like, what the hell is all that about? Well, I'll show you. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. These are all the keyframes I've created. Well, I've created too many. So what I want here is for it to be off the screen. So I'll move it down. So it's remembering that position. So now when we play it, it looks like this.
A hero card.
Right? That's a little bit, let me show you one more time.
A hero card.
It just kind of goes funk, you know, and doesn't do anything fancy or interesting. So to make it a little bit more nice, I'll put back ease on it. What that is it'll come on the screen, and then it'll go a little too far from where I need it to be, and then I'll bring it back to where it was. And that's what those 3 keyframes are about. The first keyframe, the very first keyframe, is it off the screen. Then it's going to interpolate its motion, so figure out the in-betweens from here up to here. And then for one frame, it's going to go kind of overshoot it, and then the next frame down. So that's what this middle frame is about. And I found about 20 pixels is the sweet spot. So if it's at 489, I'll go to 469 to move it up. So that means that on this keyframe, it's here, then it's up a little tiny bit, and then it's back down. And I'll show you what that looks like. And if you've seen my videos, you've seen this, like I do this with every single thing I bring on the screen.
Everyone a hero card.
So just a little boop. It's really subtle. One more time, I'll show you.
Deal everyone a hero card.
It's nice, right? It's a little bit better. It doesn't look as good as the back ease I'll get in another program that I use called Adobe Animate. Deem Explained said it should be a NAT exclusive promo. What should? Pirating games? I'm not going to pirate games, you guys. Or me wrestling guys on... Robert Stevenson asks, do you know where I can get Duke McCuter's Huge Booty Dude Noodle promo for Wingspan? Robert, you jest. But I'm announcing it here for the first time on this live stream. Soon, you will be able to get Duke McCuter's Huge Booty Dude Noodle as a promo for Wingspan. Does it have Stone Meyer's buy-in? Absolutely not. Is it an officially licensed product? Hell no. But will it be something that you can in some way get your hot little hands on? Oh yes, I'm working on it. And you know what? If you watched any Bits Please episodes and you see me with these 3D printers, I have to admit, like, the entire reason I got those 3D printers and started that series was so that I could create Duke McCuter's Huge Booty Doodle for you. So I'm really glad you asked. Look forward to that. I'm excited about it. Whatever, back to this boring animation stuff. I'll show you, by the way, I'll try to punctuate. I told you I'm not going to try to entertain you, but now that there's people riling me up in chat, I'm getting kind of excited. I have a chair update coming for you shortly. If you watch the last live stream, you'll know what that's about.
A hero card.
Now, I say in the audio,
Everyone a hero card. Shuffle the bonus.
I say deal everyone a hero card. So it might be enough. I don't know. Maybe you can help me decide in chat. Is it enough just to show the back of the hero card and then bring it off the screen? Or do you think that I should bring up the hero card and show it like being dealt out to a bunch of different people? Because I can do that. Let me know in chat. What do you think I should do? I don't know. I'm not telling you how much the client is paying, so that might factor into it. They're paying flat rate for this one, so I don't know. I really hope Steve, the client, isn't watching this live stream. I'm just goofing off. Don says, so exclusive. It's an FCM prison grade copycat card we tucked into the deck for Oceania, but called it ours. Yeah. It's prison grade. Hey, Ekken's in the scroll now. Yes, Ekken is in the scroll now. I made sure that before I went live, I put Ekken's name in the scroll. He's one of my patrons, and he was missing from that scroll that you see at the bottom right of your screen. I do my best to honor all my amazing patrons, so I wanted to make sure he was in there. I lied, by the way, too, when I said before, oh, Ekken, it must be because it just got caught off. You were at the end. That wasn't true at all. He just wasn't in there. It's just my oversight. It's a real pain putting that scroll together, let me tell you, and it involves math, and as you know, math makes me cry, which is interesting because this entire game is all about math. Right, so we're going to see what the people say, whether I should. So if I'm going to do a fancier thing, the animation in Premiere stinks. The animation controls are very bad. I'll show you. I'll open this up and you actually, okay, it's the difference between, I use Animate a lot. Animate is formerly called Flash. You may have heard of it. It's another Adobe product. I love it to death, and I've used it almost every day of my life for 20 years. So I dip out to Animate a whole lot to build things. I really like Animate. It's great for making fart sound effects with your hands. It's really great for creating vector artwork. And you say, well, doesn't everybody use Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator for making vector artwork? I find Illustrator is very, very slow when you're creating vector artwork because you have to really meticulously tweak those Bezier handles to shape a line. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then just watch my hands. That's demonstrative of it. But I find the vector drawing in Flash much more intuitive and quick. If you ever used Adobe Fireworks, which they discontinued, that used the same drawing style as Animate and Flash. I love it. By the same token, I much prefer animating in Animate. I mean, like it's right there in the name. Because if you wanted to do fancy stuff like easing or whatever in Adobe Premiere Pro, look, you actually have to like go in here. I'm going to take off pin to clip so that we can get in hopefully a little bit further. You actually have to go in here and like start tweaking around like Bezier handles on the animation, and ugh. Look how small that is and unintuitive. I can't even grab that. I can't even just, whoa, everything. It stinks. The animation in this program stinks. So we're going to close that up. I get a lot better control and nicer motion, and I'm faster with working with Animate. So let's open Animate. Here it is. There's the Patreon banner with Ekken's name newly restored in it. I'm going to, instead of creating something new, one of the things that I've been doing is I have a library now of animations where if I've done a project where I've brought 3 cards on the screen, I don't need to reanimate that. What I need to do is save that as a template so that anytime I need to bring 3 cards on the screen, if forever, I can open up that template and use it. So just off screen, I'm going to call up this animate. Well, you know what? I'll show you one out. What the heck? Lost Runes of Bardock. Where are we going here? Yes, here we are. So go into my animation library. I've got cards and I've got landscape, portrait, or both, because you know you're going to bring 3 landscape cards on the screen differently than you do with portrait cards. So I think I have one that is a deal. Let's see. Yes, deal 2. Deal 2. Oh, deal 2 to each person. Well, let's open that one up and see what it looks like and see if it's appropriate at all here. This is Adobe Animate. So it's got another timeline. This is like in Premiere. This is your playhead. And so you can scrub, and that's called scrubbing when you go back and forth across the timeline. And these black dots you see are all keyframes, just like the keyframes we dropped in Premiere Pro. And that's what the animation looks like. So it's dealing 2, but it's dealing 2 down from the bottom left corner, which I kind of don't want. So let's see what else we've got in the old animation library. Cards, portrait, flip, discard 3, overlap staggered 4, 4 cards shuffle deal. Let's see what that looks like. I think this might have been from Great Western Trail. When I finish with it and I anticipate needing to use this as a template or put it in the animation library, I'll go in and I'll knock all the cards out and I'll just replace them with colored shapes. Okay, well, yeah, look at that. The end of that, maybe not this part, but boom, from like there on, I can definitely use. That's pretty good, eh? What are you saying in chat? I kind of feel like Don says my jokes are funnier in my head than when I read. Back to real work, I'll keep listening. Dame Explain says, no, you're clocked into the joke machine. Yes, now you must make, it's a jokes per minute situation. So you got to pop in every 5 minutes. We need a joke from you or else puppies will die. I'm not too sure what'll happen. So this is the template I'm going to use. I'm going to save this as something in Outnumbered. I have a construction files folder, so I'm going to say, call this hero deal. I don't need this whole back half of it, so I'm going to take this and Shift F6 and Shift F5 to get rid of that. So it's going to just start. Nope, that was a bad idea. I'm going to undo that. Instead, I'm going to drop an F7 in there, which sort of puts an empty keyframe in, and now that's kind of protected area like that. Right, so I don't need any of this where they come together. Let me get rid of this. Zoom. No, that's not good. I should really start by giving it. That should be fine. I'll get rid of these. So now, where do we start? Yes, so we start from there. So what I want to do is take this at the beginning, and just like I had it in Premiere, but watch, you're going to see the animation is just better in Animate. So I put a keyframe here and a keyframe here, and over here, I'm going to just pull it off the screen, fagoosh, like that. And then I'm going to hit Classic Tween, and I'm going to go over here. And by the way, if you use Animate, you might be tempted your first time, oh, create motion tween. That's what I want, right? A motion tween. Motion tweens are weird. It's a new system they came up with about halfway through the lifespan of Animate, and they act funky. I've used them for a few things because that's the only way that you can animate in pseudo 3D in Animate. So if I want to have a card flipping and I want to make it look like it's flipping in perspective, I'll use those motion tweens, but they have some peculiarities and peccadillos that make them difficult to manage. So let's throw Classic Tween in there, and then over here in Ease, this is a reasonably recently added feature. Reasonably, it's probably like added 10 years ago, but if you've been using the software for 20 years, it still seems recent. And then I'll say ease out and back. There's a whole pile of eases that you can choose from that do different things and have different effects, but ease out back is the one that I use all the time, and it looks like this. Right, so it automatically does that little skip up, like it overshoots and then comes back, and it does it sort of, it looks nicer, I think, than the way that I do it in Premiere Pro. So if you're watching one of my videos and you see a card animate on smoothly and it looks beautiful, it's because I've done it in Animate. And if it looks a little bit herky-jerky, it's because I've done it in Premiere just to save a little bit of time. So that's going to look really nice. I like that. So now I have to go in and replace the pink thing with the hero card. So I'm going to go into, where are we here? Outnumbered, into graphics. Huh, that's strange. Where have I put them? Where have I put them? They're in assets. Silly me. Right there. And I'll use that to align it. And now, beautiful, right? Look at that. Why reinvent the wheel if you already got that? It's not quite off the screen at the very beginning. So now what I'm going to do is hit Control M. That's a custom keyboard shortcut that I have, or maybe not, maybe it's standard. And I'm going to go to Outnumbered and I'm going to create a movie. So I'm going to go in my footage folder, make a new folder called NMs, and then make a new folder called Hero Deal. And then I'm going to say save. And what it's doing, all these settings are fine. It's going to go through and it's going to just save every single frame as its own transparent ping. And if you're new to computer graphics, there are file types that support transparency and file types that don't. And so ping is one of the file types that you can use if you need to have an image that you can see through. And this is the case, because if we were to output it with an opaque background, then it would cover up the shot of the board on the bottom and it wouldn't be any good for us. So back here on a folder off the screen, excuse me. I'll just bring this on so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to create a new bin called HeroDeal, and I'm going to go in and import outnumbered footage, anims, HeroDeal. So here are all the pictures that I just created. So if I grab this one, because they're all sequentially numbered, if I click image sequence, it's going to bring them all in as one glommed together unit. And if I put that on the screen, instead of this hero card that we had on there, I'm going to put it here.
Card. Shuffle the bonus powers.
Right? Cool. So there are a couple of things missing. For one thing, I guess on deal, I can start it on deal.
Deal everyone a hero card. Shuffle the bonus.
Looks good to me, except it just needs a shadow. So if I go up here and I hit hand shadow, that'll look a little bit better.
Deal everyone a hero card. Shuffle the bonus powers deck.
Yeah. I mean, looks great to me, right? One thing I mentioned, you tell me if it doesn't. Only desktop icons, Don says. Yeah, that's you can't unsee what the number of desktop icons I have. I don't know. Every once in a while, and I mean it's like every 5 months I'll do like a extensive cleanup of my system and I'll get rid of all of those. You're making me paranoid now. One thing I mentioned in the last live stream when we were doing Edit Pass A is that some of these shots look kind of muddy, and towards the end of the stream there are two things that I do towards the end of the project that I kind of want to show you. Whether I'm finished with Edit Pass B or not, I want to show you how those go. I will color treat my footage so that it looks a little bit brighter, a little bit sharper, and the contrast is a little bit higher, and it just looks nicer. So I'll go sweep through the entire thing and do that, and then I'll process the audio so that it's again, I put a filter on it to give my voice a little bit more resonance and make my voice sound a little bit deeper and more manly, I think, than it actually is. And I also use a piece of software that levels all the audio so that if I'm lower energy on part of the read and higher energy on another part, it levels the volumes so that one's not super quiet and one's not super loud. It's very handy. So I'll show you that towards a little bit later. But first, a chair update. If you were watching the last live stream, you saw a couple of cameos from Cheryl, who was in the middle of, I just mentioned things on a lark to Cheryl, and then she spends the next 2 or 3 days completing this project for me. I was like, whoa. So like, you can kind of see a little bit of my new studio. I used to be on the other side of the basement in a more cramped corner. And one day I said, I think it would make more sense for me to be on the other side of the basement. And then doesn't Cheryl spend the next 3 or 4 days doing everything she possibly can to switch sides of the basement and put a craft room over there and relocate me to where I had a little bit more room. So what happened with this chair thing is I had this concept during the very first live stream I did last Friday, where we were looking through the Anachrony Infinity box, which you can see over my shoulder. And one of the things in there is this art book, and the art book contains a bunch of stories of the different paths, like the different character types you can play in the game, accompanied with the beautiful artwork in the game. And we were joking, you and I, in the chat about like, oh, I should be in a overstuffed wingback chair in a smoking jacket reading these stories out to people. And then, like, no sooner was it out of my mouth than I thought that, like, that's kind of a good idea. Nobody's doing that. And a lot of board games have story content, and nobody's doing sort of like an audiobook reading of these things. And I'd really like to do that. And I own a smoking jacket. Sort of. I own more like a silk robe. You'll see because it's going to happen. So the one thing I don't own, and I realized I have a fireplace too. So, it's all coming together. One thing I don't own is the big overstuffed wingback chair. So Cheryl says, "I'm on it," and she starts looking at like Kijiji and Farage Sale and Facebook Marketplace and all these places where people flip old stuff. She was determined to get one for free because she thought it should be no problem. People give away chairs all the time, and so in the middle of that live stream, Cheryl was about to race out and get this chair, and I showed pictures to you guys, and you decided that between the blue chair and the red chair, the blue chair was nicer. Sadly, she was not fast enough and lost the blue chair. But later that evening, she comes home and unloads the car, and she goes, "I got it. I got your chair for you." And this is it. It's in a picture of my messy garage, and you wonder why there's a payphone in my messy garage. I don't know. Deal with it. My messy garage is the analog equivalent to my desktop, I guess, Don. So that's it. Isn't it a beauty? And the reason why we wanted a blue chair is because it's just a branding thing, right? The channel color is blue, and it looked like I kind of got like a constellation, night sky, Starfield, nights around a table thing going on. So this looks like the nighttime sky. I was really happy with it. It does have earwigs. It's been out on a curb for a little while, so there are earwigs in the chair. So we need to delouse it a little bit before we bring it into our house. That's why it's now sitting next to the garbage. But as soon as we clean it up and shampoo it and make it a little bit nicer, I think it'll be great, and it'll feature in the upcoming Nights Around a Table Storytime segment. Isn't that exciting? I don't know. Maybe you tell me, jump on the chat and go, "No, that's not exciting at all. Why would I want that?" We'll see. Woohoo chair, says Dave Explains. Exactly. That my thoughts exactly, Dave Explains. Woohoo chair. Woohoo, chair. Back to this. Usually I go at a bit of a faster clip when I'm doing Edit Pass B on these videos, but here we are.
Deal everyone a
Hero card.
Shuffle the bonus powers
Great.
deck and keep it handy. Then shuffle up the villain deck. If you're playing on the easier sidekick mode,
yeah, I have to listen to this because there's 3 modes, and I mentioned 2 of them off the top of the game, and then I mentioned a 3rd difficulty mode at the end. And I think it might be useful to actually show the words sidekick mode and hero mode in this part, but let's just listen.
Shuffle up the villain deck. If you're playing on the easier sidekick mode, you just want the blue guys in the deck. But if you're looking for more of a challenge, you can play in hero mode. You shuffle the purple cards in there as well, and add the event deck.
Yeah, so I think with that, I think I want the words sidekick mode, and then I just want to bring in a couple of blue guy cards, and then I want to cross dissolve from that piece of wording to hero mode, and I want to bring on a couple of purple guys, and then I want to go and put them all in the same area and then bring them off the screen. Does that sound like, that sounds like a thing I do, right? So to accomplish that, let's go back and look at my templated Anime Library stuff. It's probably like about 5 or 6 cards that I need to depict on the screen. So I go down, and by the way, all the numbers are indicating how many elements are on the screen. So if I want 5, that's 5 tarot cards. 5 and 6. Let's see what this 5 and 6 one looks like. Oh yeah, that's a whole pile. Well, actually, that might be pretty good. Let's look. That wouldn't be too bad, eh? Like these guys would be the blue guys, and then these guys would be the purple guys, and then instead of dropping them all off, I would make them go funk into one deck and then pull the deck off. But one thing I need is I need room up top to show the titles that I was talking about. So I'll show you how I will do that. First of all, I'll create a new layer up here in the timeline, and I'll lock everything so that now I can't touch anything below it. Nothing can be moved or anything. I'm going to go in a folder to the side and install the font that I need, which is called Comica. Just give me a moment. Installing Comica, go. I thought I already had Comica installed, but then I'm going to go to the text tool. Not responding. It's because, and this again is a new feature of Animate. It used to be if you installed a font, you would have to close out the software and then load it up again because it only loaded fonts when you ran the program. But now they've got a watch on the font folder. So if new fonts get installed, they're ready to use right away, which is way, way, way better. Huge difference. So I'm going to say Sidekick mode, which is too little. So I'll hit Q so that I can drag it here, and I'm going to go down to, what was the font called again? Something with a K, Comica. Boom, there it is. And let me just look at the, so I'm gonna give the text the same treatment as I see on the on their rule book in the game. And when I stand up, you'll see that I'm wearing jammy pants, which is what I do. Okay. So I've got a couple of options here. They, if you can see that, hopefully, they have done, this is what their title font looks like. And in the rule book, they've made it so that it's white text with a black outline and then a orangey red rectangle that's askance or askew, plus the comic booky dots, plus a solid black. Yeah. It might be easier to do what they've done with the yellow. Well, no, I think we do what they've done in the header. Okay, so first step is to make it white. No problem. That's the easy part. Boom, now it's white. Second step is to give it a black outline, and I have a black outline filter right there because I do that with a lot of my stuff. The third step is to make a layer underneath and to put a box underneath of it, which again is no problem. And then the next step is to color that box orangey red. It's kind of like an orange. Is it more like that? Nah, it's more red. It's more red. We'll pick more of a red thing. That's a little bit harsh, but. And then make it trapezoidal. So I can just, this is what I say when I say animate is really easy to draw with and do cool stuff with. So you can just grab these corners and just pull them around willy-nilly, however you like. And I don't know, I've never had people watch me do this, so this is a little bit nerve-wracking for me. And you'll find I'm a little bit of a obnoxious perfectionist with stuff. So there's that, and then that I'm going to make that a movie clip and throw a black outline on that. That looks good so far. So to compare, I don't know if that's close enough for you to even see. Let me look and make sure that you can see what I'm seeing. I think you can. Great. Now I'm going to make that that solid drop shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the box, drop it behind, take off all the filters, and I'm going to tint it. Blend, no, not blend, up here, color effects, tints, black, 100%, boom, there's that drop shadow that it needs. And then the slightly more time consuming part, let me just take a close look at how those dots are doing what they do. Okay, I think I know. I'm going to do something a little bit, a little bit saucy. Okay. Okay, here's how I'm going to make those dots. First, I'm going to hit the oval tool and give it no stroke. In most vector programs, you can make things with a stroke and a fill. The stroke is the outline, the fill is the inside. I'm going to lock everything but that layer. And I'm going to make a dot, and I'm going to call it dot so that it's instanceable. So every single one I create is going to be a new instance of that dot. And I'm going to put the dot over here. And then this is, follow along with me now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to animate it. Even though this is going to be a still effect, I'm going to animate it, and I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to shrink it down to this size and create a classic tween. And you say, well, why did you animate it? Well, let me show you. If I hit multiple, let's see, how do I do this? I've done a whole tutorial on how to do this, and now I'm forgetting. The idea is, Edit multiple frames. Maybe it's onion skinning. Yeah, it's onion skinning. So with onion skinning, I can see all of the dots that I've created in this animation. And if I shrink the range of its animation, then there are going to be fewer dots going across, if that makes sense, because there are going to be fewer in-betweens if it happens in a shorter amount of time. And I'm just going to check this to make sure that that is about, yeah, that's about the right spacing that I want. And then I'm going to, this is a funky way to do this. I'm going to take all of those and I'm going to put a keyframe in there, and then I'm going to take them all and multi-select, cut them, and then there's no way, I'm not teaching you how to do this, I'm just doing it because I know how to do this. And then I'm going to paste them, and boom, there's all my dots really, really easily. And then I'm going to call this dots, and then I'm going to just see how it goes here. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to just make copies of them. And then I'm going to select them and offset them like that. Like so. And that's looking pretty reasonably faithful. And then to make it so that they get blocked out. Oh, actually, I got to do the other side too, don't I? So I'll take that and I'll copy it and I'll modify it and I'll transform and I'll flip horizontal. And it's a darker color on that side, so I'm going to tint it to, it's like a muddy, that's kind of too muddy. It's more like a brown kind of thing that I can see. And I'll put it down here. And I think they're angled a little bit too, actually. I don't know, the shape is messing me up a teensy touch. Let me angle like that. That color doesn't seem right at all. Nah, it's okay. It's okay. Right, so I do that, and then I'm going to take this shape that's behind it that has to sort of like block it all out or mask it all out, put it on a layer above, hit there, go to mask, boom, and then it masks them all out. And that's like pretty reasonably close. I don't like the color of those left dots though. Chair, Michael asks, did you get the red-brown chair? I had to AFK. No, let me show you the chair picture again, because this is what we're all about. This chair is this time. This is why you tuned in, is to see the chair. So feast your eyes, Michael. That's the blue chair that looks a little bit like a Starfield, and we'll clean it up and we'll get it going. Then we'll do story time in that chair. I think it'll be really special. I'm also on the prowl for some animal slippers and maybe a pipe that blows bubbles. We'll see. We'll see what I can get going. Great. Let me just go in here and mess around with the color of these dots. I don't like what these dots are doing. If it's more, yeah, I could go dark. I could go dark, or I could go dark red. No, I think that might look nicer than what I've got, and I think I might shrink it a little bit just to make it a little bit different. I might take one away even. Oh, I see why this is driving me nuts. It's because it's supposed to be offset this way. Modify, transform, flip vertical. I should have flip vertical on a keyboard shortcut, but I used to do all this stuff on a laptop, if you can believe it. And the same keyboard shortcut I had for flip vertical on the laptop rotated the screen 90 degrees. So I got out of the habit of using it. I'll have to get back into it. So there, that looks pretty darn good, I think. So I'm going to lock those two top layers with that banner in there, and I have to make sure, oh, there's something funky going on with the corners. Look at that. What is up? What has happened? Right, I know why. Because this is a copy of that, which it shouldn't really be. No, I don't like that. Have I messed up? Why in the base thing would it be wacky tobacco? Why is that corner so busted? Ew. 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 At some point I accidentally, that's easy to fix though. At some point I accidentally messed up my rectangle. Easy fix. We make in different color new rectangle. And then we click and drag corners up to match original rectangle. And then we delete original rectangle. I don't know why I'm doing Yash Stan Schmengi. And then original rectangle is going to be that color. And that should be better. Yes, much better. Fixed. Great. So we can't have it stepping on the cards like that. The cards are what's important. So let me go over here. This is the multi-select tool. So I'm going to be able to grab the entire thing. And I'm just going to grab everything. Control A to select all. And shrinky dink it. So put the blue guys over here and the purple guys over here. And how are we looking? Yeah, great. So far, so good. Except here, instead of doing what they're doing, I'm going to create some keyframes here. Remove classic tween, and instead, all of these suckers are going to, if I align that, put them in the center of the screen. Right click, edit, create classic tween, classic ease in. So ease in will make it so that, so normally it would just be like blah, like a robot. Ease in is going to go slow at first and then fast. So, which is kind of what I want. So if we give it enough frames, you'll see what that looks like. Like that, right? Let me take that ease off and you can see what it'll look like if we didn't have that ease. So this is what it looks like with no ease. Kind of not as fun, right? So let's put that ease back on. Ease in quad. You know, you can hear the sound effect when it does that. And then I'm going to delete everything else because we'll just see this card. And this will go off the screen. Boonk. I realize now that I make sound effects while I animate, which I guess kind of makes sense. What are you complaining about here? Position size. And that comes off the screen. And again, before it goes off the screen, I'm going to ease in as well. So it's not just like, it's like, you know, like, you know, because when things start their motion, they should have a little bit of inertia, like me getting off the couch, right? It should be just like, whoa, now we go. So if I click on that and I hit ease in, yeah. And if that's happening too fast and you think it should stop there for a little bit, that's okay, because in Premiere Pro, I can just grab that one frame and hold on it for a while before it proceeds to the next animation. What I'm concerned with in Animate is just getting the whole sequence going. So I think at some point we need, yeah, so at some point we need that psychic mode banner to get out of here. So I'm going to give it some space. Yay, Ekin says, I made it to the scroll. You sure did. You sure have made sure of it before we started the stream. I'm going to animate these up and off the screen. Nope, no, it doesn't like it because you're not allowed to animate anything that isn't a movie clip. So I just need to make that, this whole thing actually, this whole thing should be sidekick banner. Great. Get rid of this. So right here, it's going to go off the screen, only to be replaced with, and again, create classic tween, and I'll give it an ease in whenever something's going. I like to make it a bit sticky. And then it's going to be replaced with the same flippin' thing. Why are you doing that, Ryan? Well, let me show you in a second. Create classic tween, and I'm going to ease out. I'm going to put a back ease on this one so that when it comes down, it kind of goes like, you know? And then you say, well, is it the same? It's the same banner. Well, hold on. Let's, at this point, we can swap it and we can say this is going to be hero banner. And so it's the exact same thing, except we're just going to go in and change hero mode. And just to give it a little bit of visual differentiation, I can take this and squeeze it a little bit so it fits the text a little bit better, and align it so that's more in the middle of the screen. Yay! And put that there. Still got maybe my ease, so That's really fast. I don't like how fast that is. That's really slow. Don't like how slow that is. It should start up here. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, nice, very nice. So here I'm going to trim it up so that the animation starts right after there. Like I say, any hold frames that I want to use, I'm going to do that in Premiere, because coming out of Animate, every single frame that I put in here is going to be generating its own ping. So the fewer pings I can generate, the better. Even though I'm going to be deleting all these pictures when this project's done anyway, just to keep the burden on my storage space a bit lower. Okay, cool. So that's looking pretty neat. Yeah, I like. So then I guess at the end of it, hero mode is going to go away. Once again, I'll put ease on it, and I'll say ease in quad. A few frames. Trim this up, not that much. Great. And then a feature that they added again fairly recently in Animate that I live and die by is this one: clip the content. So you're wondering, like, why can I still see it if you said it's going off the stage? Well, the blue rectangle is the stage, the viewable area. So I've taken it outside the viewable area. But it can sometimes trick your eye if you still see the thing on the screen, and it's not going to look exactly the same as what people are going to experience. So you can clip the stage like this. So now, beautiful, right? So we can see what it's going to look like. Of course, at the beginning, we want to bring the banner in. So right here, I'll create a keyframe. This one, it's going to be up and off the screen, and we'll say classic tween. And again, I'm addicted to this ease out back. I use it in everything just to make everything look punchy. Ekin says, sorry I'm late. Oh, as if you're doing this subscribe to Knights Around the Table every single time. That's kind of cheeky, because I didn't do that in the first stream too. Just noticed it out of the corner of my eye. I mapped the subscribe thing to Control S. So now when I'm working, anytime I hit save, it's like, by the way, subscribe to Knights Around the Table, which I don't know is such a bad thing. It might, I don't know. You tell me if it's being visually annoying for you. Because when I've learned, I've used computers a long time. And if you use computers in the 80s and 90s, you just get in the habit of hitting Control S to save roughly every 3 seconds, because we've lost too much work, we children of the 80s and 90s, to not save it every 3 seconds. Nowadays, they've got, autosave, and they've got recovery protocols and everything, but it's just ingrained in me. Control S, Control S, Control S. Our computer teacher said, what did he say? Save often, cry seldom was his thing. Whenever we'd lose work, we'd teary-eyed come to him, you should have saved. Screw you. It's a harsh world. Right. Tween all the things, says Michael Tide. What game are you making a video for? This is for Outnumbered. So if you know Anway or Anway in the Discord server, that's Steve. He works for Genius Games. They commissioned me. So this is a sorry, I shouldn't have explained right at the top. This is a game for school-age children to help them with their math, and they have to fight evil villains on the game board by rolling dice, applying math to the numbers, and matching the numbers on the cards of the villains. And you're going to see the cards of the villains very shortly, because we can't keep going with this animation with just colored squares the entire time. So you guys can talk amongst yourselves while in a separate secret off-screen folder I go and dig in to get the rest of their cards for this part of it. They've got a folder full of villains that I'm just downloading over here. Man, I find I tell stories and I get all the way to the end of the story and I don't explain the point or why I started telling the story to begin with. The reason I told the story about publishers providing assets that don't have rounded corners is because Genius Games went the extra step and actually cut the corners for me, rounded the corners, so I don't have to do that batch process. So that's great. It saves me a bunch of time. Where are we here? In assets. Just create a new folder off the screen called Villains. extract here. So now I have a folder full of villain cards. And this whole sequence is about telling you that you use the blue ones when you're in hero mode or sidekick mode, and add the purple ones when you're in hero mode. So these are all individually, and the reason they're different colors is so that I can tell myself in the future that these are all different assets, which is perfect. So I'm gonna start bringing in these villains. So I'm gonna need this blue one and this. Now we'll go this 3 guy. He's gonna go right there. Some of this stuff is a little bit tedious, isn't it? We'll go with this 8 guy, and he'll go right there. This card will get this, as they're visually different. Yeah, we'll do the 15 guy right here. This card, do we have somebody? There's only, I think, 4 different, or 3 different, oh, there's like scary laser eyes guy. And it's a little bit conspicuous that the numbers are going up, so I'm going to put 18 here. What am I doing? So 18 will be here, and I'll grab 3 and put it here instead. And for the last one, we're going to get, is there any other visually distinct? Yeah, there's this guy with the fireball, isn't there? So we'll use the fireball guy down here. Great, and that'll just replace all the assets that are in there. Bloom, the blue guys come in, and then for these ones, get some purple guys. Is it weird that it's, okay, tell me in chat, is it weird that it's 6 and 5? Because I can very easily make it either 5 and 5 or 6 and 6. Tell me in chat what you think. Should they go even? Well, while you're deciding that, let me just pull all the purple guys in. Number 37. Number 37. Entering the court now, number 37. Number 64. This guy looks like the Russian boxer that Rocky was trying to punch out in Rocky 4. We're doing, let's go with, this guy's special, so we'll deal with him in a sec. I'll put, no, if I do him, I'll do 19. Notice that the numbers are a little bit more wacky when you get into the harder purple guys. They're like prime numbers, and they're not, I don't know, they're not clean when you try to defeat them with dice. I'll put laser eyes guy. Like I say, there's not a huge variety in the heroes, but I'll try to make it visually interesting. Michael Ted says, meh, seems fine. Yeah, it doesn't matter. 6 and 5, who cares? Who cares? Maybe the client cares. We'll find out. I'll put, I don't want Russian above Russian, so I'm going to put, who am I missing here? Fireball guy here, and then I'll put one more Russian in the bottom right corner. One more Russian. 216. Great. How are we looking? Yeah. Hot. Cool. All right. Oh no! I accidentally saved that and I forgot. Oh no! I just overwrote my template. That's fine. It's fine. I'll fix it later. Outnumbered. Construction files. This is the villain deck animation. And again, Control M. I'll go into Anim's new folder, villain deck. Save it, export it. Team Explains says, I think it's fine. If hero mode is harder, having a bigger number of cards looks harder. Yeah, that's some kid logic. I'll go with that. Team Explains, did you link to Outnumbered? Is that what that link is? I'm not going to click it. Michael Todd says, if I had it mapped to Control S, it'd be popping up every 10 seconds. Is it popping up every 10 seconds? Here, I'm going to hit Control S again. No, it doesn't look like it's popping up, eh? Maybe it's just that one time. How do we make it pop up again? There it is. I think I have to. It popped up because I had focused OBS, and I don't have. You can set the keyboard shortcuts in OBS so that they'll run when you're outside the program, but I think that's not set for that one. Anyway, back to Premiere. So that's an example of like the amount of time I'll put into an animation when I need to show cards. Just off screen, I'm making a bin called Villain Deck, and I'm going to import and go up to Villain Deck, click the first thing, hit image sequence, go. It'll import it all as a sequence, like a bundle. I'm going to drag that on here.
Purple cards in.
So I'll go back and find the part where
Up the Villain Deck. If you're playing on the easier
right here.
sidekick.
Right here for sidekick, and then when I get to the point, so here I'll right click and say add frame hold, I think is what I want. No, I don't. I haven't done it this way. I do it a different way. That's the really slow way, and I don't want you guys to laugh at me, so I'm trying to do it the fast way now. Add frame hold.
Sidekick mode.
Yes, that was the fast way. Hey, I learned something. Out of necessity, out of fear of embarrassment, I've learned something new.
You just want the
blue right here, and we'll make. Sorry, I'm doing stuff without explaining it. I'm hitting the C button to go to that razor tool to make a cut, so I can pull that off, and then I'm going to go back a frame and hit add frame hold, and then pull this out.
Guys in the deck. But if you're looking for more of a challenge, you can play
Right here is probably where it needs to bring in the next thing.
in hero mode.
Yeah, in hero mode. And then before these guys come up, I'll hit C, make a cut, pull that out, back a frame, right click, add frame hold.
Hero mode. You shuffle the purple.
And then on the word purple, put these guys in here. Purple. Right here. I don't know if that timing is going to be right. Back up a frame, right click, add frame hold, stretch it out,
as well.
and then right there, off we go.
And add the event deck.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's perfect. I just need to select the whole thing, put hand shadows on there, and let's see how it goes.
Easier sidekick mode. You just want the blue guys in the deck. But if you're looking for more of a
Oh, I noticed something bad. Do you see the bad thing that I see? This guy is not quite down all the way, so I went to the wrong frame. Let me pull that out. Right there, that's the frame that I want. Add frame hold.
guys in the deck. But if you're looking for more of a challenge, you can play in hero mode. You shuffle the purple cards in there as
Ah, see, hero mode, I screwed that up too. Hero mode popped up a bit. So that's the wrong hold frame. Look, I try to do things a new way. Right there. Add frame hold.
hero mode. You shuffle the purple cards in there as well and add the event deck.
I'm happy with that. That looks pretty good. Yeah, we happy with that? Mm-hmm. Link to the game you're working on. Yeah, Outnumbered. Cool. So I think that they've done a first run of Outnumbered and they're gearing up. I think the whole point of having this video is because they want to do a whole new print run of it. And they're going to make a couple of tweaks to the rule book, I think. Nothing game changing.
If you want a game somewhere in between sidekick and hero modes, you can play with either the purple villains or the event deck.
Okay. So for that,
If you want a game somewhere in between sidekick and hero modes, you can play with either the purple villains or the event deck.
how do I depict that visually?
If you want a game somewhere in between sidekick and hero modes, you can play with either If you want a game somewhere in between.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go over to here and I'll just look at this and I'll export it and I'll go to outnumbered outlines. Excuse me now. Pardon me, I still don't know what to do if I have to burp on a live stream. Outlines. Sidekick mode. Export, and I'll export hero mode. Export, and in Photoshop, the problem with what I just did is that I exported it with all kinds of jazz around the outside, right? So I don't necessarily want all that crap. So go to the magic wand tool. I select the outside, so that selects everything of a color or a range of colors. So it selected all the blank stuff, and then I'll invert that so it's only selecting the hero mode banner, and then I'll crop it, and then I'll save it. And I'll do the same thing with sidekick mode just to get rid of all that cruft around the edge. That's the fastest way I know to do it. So I subscribe to the Adobe Creative Suite, and it's really expensive, but I think I get my money's worth because I'm constantly bouncing around between all the different programs, because I think they deliberately designed them so that, you know, animation stinks in Premiere Pro. Oh, but you can use After Effects, and you know, if you want to use vector graphics in Photoshop, you can, but they suck, you know. So you got to use Illustrator if you want to get proper vector graphics going.
If you want a game somewhere in between. If you want a game somewhere. If you want a game.
So somewhere I'm going to bring in off the screen. I'm just going into my outlines bin. Outlines. Team Explains has got a jet. Enjoy the work, Jam. You are now unmodded. Oh yeah, thank you for modding. Yeah, hopefully you didn't have to bring the banhammer down on anybody when you were here. Everyone's behaving very nicely. Now that you've gone and I've said that, somebody's going to act up, and I think it'll probably be Michael Todd if I had to guess. Outlines. I'll bring in sidekick mode and hero mode. So I think what I want to do is bring them on and then stick a finger in between them to indicate in between. Sidekick mode.
Somewhere.
That's too big. I want them next to each other on the screen. Let's say there, and then the other one is going to be right next to it. Nope, 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 nope. Maybe they don't have to be that small. That one looks too big, but it's deceiving. Yeah. They came down from the top before, so I'm going to make them come down from the top this time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 566 back here. So that's just the same method I showed you before. I'm going to make. Oh, that comes in real fast, doesn't it? So to make it less zippy, you just take these keyframes and stretch them out a little bit.
Somewhere in between. Somewhere.
And then on in between, I want this one to come down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 566. And then up here, you're off the screen. And just like the other one, we're going to stretch those keyframes out just a tiny little bit to make it not so zippy.
Somewhere in between.
And then right there, I'll go, and this is my special bin full of reused graphics that I use all the time. So I want that finger, the left finger. I noticed the other day, I don't know, nobody's commented on this, but I use the left pointing finger extensively, and it's because I guess it's because I'm left-handed, and I don't know if that looks like, does that look weird to anybody that I'm using the left hand? Should I be using the right hand? I don't know. It also kind of like from I don't know what the term is I'm looking for, from a visual linguistic, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's going from left to right. The cuff of the hand is on the left side and the finger is on the right, and we read from left to right. So that's, I don't know if it feels natural because of that or if it feels natural because I'm left-handed, but I don't know, let me know.
The game somewhere in between sidekick and hero modes. You can play with with either the purple villains.
Just bringing in a purple villain. Outnumbered, graphics, assets, villains, purple. I don't know if this looks a little bit visually chaotic, but let's see. Eat 32 minus 20 is 12. Yes, it matters. I just found that 20 pixels is about the right amount that you want to make it pop.
With either the purple villain, either.
When I say either, I might want to take the finger off by putting a crosses off.
With either the purple villain.
No, get out of here, finger. Get out of here, finger. Nobody wants you here.
You can play with either the purple villains or the event.
I'll put the finger right here. I'm pointing at the event deck, even though it's pretty obvious, because the purple villain got animation to focus it, but the event deck, there's a lot of stuff on the screen right now, so your eye might not immediately go to it and know what I'm talking about. So I want to make it super clear, Sesame Street style.
Between sidekick and hero modes, you can play with either the purple villains or the event deck.
Right, nice, right? Very, very clear. Then I take the finger off.
This bad guy.
And then, like, right away, as that's fading, I want to take the villain card off the screen. 1, 2, 3. 3 frames does it. It's very zippy, but I don't want it hanging around very long at all. I'll go back to the same point, and just maybe 2 frames before that, I'm going to make sidekick mode go off. Keyframe 1, 2, 3, keyframe, get it out of there. And then I'm going to back up like 1 frame. And the reason I don't do them at the same time is because there's this concept, 1, 2, 3, in animation called twinning. So I could make both sidekick and hero mode go off together, but that doesn't look as good as if one goes up first and then the other follows it, because that makes it look like one's dragging the other. You know what I mean? You'll see a lot of times in my videos where I have an array of cards or elements on the screen, instead of making them all go together, one will lead and the rest will follow in kind of like a wave motion. And that just, I don't know, it looks better. It's an animation thing. So avoid twinning where you can. I think I learned that in one of the Disney, like Illusion of Life or something.
This bad guy.
Yeah. So it F's off right out of there as fast as possible.
This bad guy.
And then we're on to the next thing. So we need to show Absolute Zero, the big boss. And when we show him, I'm just going to hit M to put a marker in there because I want to come back to this. I'm going to move my playhead around and I don't want to lose my place. So it's a way to kind of like bookmark things. But I know that before... Oh yeah, I deleted that. I was going to go back and get the animation of when we brought a single card up, but I got rid of it in favor of the smoother animation. So I'm going to put Absolute Zero on the screen. Maybe he's a little bit big. Move him up a little bit. Put that drop shadow on him. And like I showed you near the beginning, keyframe 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, back it up, 507 minus 20. Oh God, I hate doing math in front of people. 497, is that right? No, 487. And then down here, you're coming up from the bottom of the screen like all my cards do.
This bad guy.
Yeah, maybe back it up a couple frames.
This bad guy is Ultimate Zero.
Oh no! Did you spot the error? Let's listen again.
This bad guy is Ultimate Zero.
No, he's not. No, he's not Ultimate Zero. He's Absolute Zero. What a boob. Okay, so I need a retake. I need a pickup. So to do that, I'm gonna just put a cut here.
This bad guy is Ultimate Zero, the big boss.
So that's about as much as I need to re-record. You make mistakes all over the place in this project. pardon me, getting a bit windy. So I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna label this, I'm gonna change the color to blue. Blue is my I messed up color. So when I'm looking for that again, that's how I'm gonna go find it. And then I'll go back to the script. And these are the retakes I did earlier today because I messed up at pass A. But the pickup I need now, boy, I called him absolute zero there. Where did I call him ultimate zero? I said it twice. I said it 2 different times. So I'm gonna have to do another pickup right here. So what I do with these audio pickups is I'll find them and I'll make them blue in here too, right? Because why not be consistent? If blue is my screw up color in Premiere Pro, then it's going to be my screw up color in where are we? Google Docs. So let me find the other one too. So that needs to be reread. But it's cool. This is one of the advantages of leaving those Ryan host shots until the very end of the process, because once I find all those mistakes and I highlight them in blue, then when I go and film the Ryan shots, I'll do all the ones in orange, and then I'll just turn to the mic and I'll read the blue ones. I don't need the video. I'll just dump the video later and I'll just keep the audio, and then I'll go in and replace those sections. So that's why it's nice, I found, to keep the Ryan shots until the end, because I still have an opportunity to correct mistakes like that.
The big boss. Cut the deck.
Oh, thanks. I can smart color coding. I can say.
And put the other.
Okay.
Big boss. Cut the deck.
Oh.
Shuffle him into one half of it.
So I messed up here too. What I want to depict is, you see in the background what's happening.
The big boss.
Cut the deck. Shuffle him into one half of it. So I need him. If you use Premiere Pro, I'm happy you're here because I'm about to do something dumb. And if there's an easier way, let me know. But what I can tell you is I want absolute zero on this side of the screen. I want him to come up here instead of in the middle, so that when I say shuffle him into half of the deck, I can just take him and shrink him down to, you know, where the deck is. Actually, if I wanted to be fancy, I would take him and I'd flip him. Yeah, that's what I should really do, really. But what I was going to say is, if I go into, check this out, if I go into his keyframes and you would think that it would just be a matter of taking his keyframes and going into each one and, like, I don't know, adding 50 or 100 pixels to it or whatever it was to each one. But Premiere Pro, like I said, the animation in this software is weird and it's dumb and it's bad and it's broken. And if I do that, it's going to start moving him around in really weird, unpredictable ways, because it's in the background creating some big loopy Bezier between the original position and the position I've corrected it to. In order to move him over, what I have to do is right click this sequence, hit nest, call it something, absolute, I'm going to delete it, so I'll call him ultimate zero. I'm going to pay for that later. And then select the nested thing and move the whole nested thing over. So that now
this bad guy is ultimate zero, the big boss.
So now he's over there, but if I wanted to do anything else with him or adjust his animation, I have to double click, and now I'm in his nested sequence, which looks like this. I don't see the background. I don't know. It's a whole thing, and I wish you didn't have to do it, and I don't know if you have to do it, and I don't know why the animation goes so wonky and weird if you have your animation set the way you like it and you're like, nah, just a few keyframes before here, I want to tweak this, and behind the scenes it's blowing it out into this big weird motion curve interpolation thing. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm getting rid of this because I want to do a slightly fancier thing. There aren't a lot of animations in this video. Like I said, it's only 8 minutes long, so any chance that I get to make it kind of cool, I'm going to take. So first I need to export this as we'll say absolute zero. So that's just me taking a screenshot of what's there. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a new file and animate. I'm going to remember to save it right off the top. And I'm going to say absolute zero. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to my stills where I saved that. And I have a macro to recenter it, just because it's a weird thing. If you're zoomed in really deep in Animate and you bring in like a background, even if it's like 1920 by 1080 and your stage is 1920 by 1080, it still might offset it a little bit, which is super annoying. So I programmed a macro to like bump it up, because I was really tired of having to zoom out, go to the arrow tool, click it, Control K, open the alignment tool, click the two buttons that center it, close. It sucks. So I got it in a macro. This is not the picture that I wanted, is it? Where did this thing come from? Where's my picture? I obviously did not save it to the right folder. Yes, it's going to the Anachrony Affinity Box folder. We don't want that. By the way, on Friday, my reboxing for Anachrony Infinity Box is coming out. So if you're looking forward to that, as well as the first stream that I ever did that came out last Friday. So the unboxing stream and the reboxing video are going to be out all on Friday. And if you're joining me tomorrow, I am playing a board game solo for the very first time, and I thought it'd be a good idea to live stream that as well. So tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and 6 p.m. British Summertime, is that what BST stands for? I'll be playing Tiny Epic Galaxies, which is a great game if you've never played or seen it played. What are we doing? Outnumbered. We are picking a folder for this still to go in and saving it as absolute 0. And we're bringing that in. And it's nice and aligned. So I'll lock that so that I can't mess around with it. And I'll bring in the actual absolute 0 asset. Here he is. I think the more I talk, the more I swallow air because I get really excited. Get all burpy. Great, so I'll give this some frames by going out here and hitting F5, and then I'll put a keyframe here and I'll drop him down off the screen, and then I'll right click and I'll hit create classic tween. Oh, I forgot to turn him into a movie clip. F8. Absolute 0. Copy, put him here. He's off the screen at the very beginning. Right click, create classic tween, classic ease. As you know, I like ease out back. There it is. Boom, there he is. That's a little bit fast. Boom, great. Looks good to me. Now, I mentioned that when you're using Animate for the first time, you'd be tempted to put motion tween on there and not to because it's weird. Well, because I want absolute 0 to flip to the back of the card as it's going down, we're going to have to deal with those really weird motion tweens, and you'll see the pain, the suffering we have to go through in order to get that working. So the first thing I'll do is on the frame where I want it to happen, I'm going to go to a completely new layer because it doesn't like to be on layers that are the same as other layers with other stuff on it. So he's on his own layer. Step 1. Then I am going to hit a keyframe, and I'm going to, you know what, I'll make a keyframe here so that it's an uneven number about the length of time that I want it, so that I can go halvesies on it later. You'll see in a second what I'm trying to do here. And I'll roughly put him not quite on top because the final frame is going to be like, I don't want it directly on top. I want it like on its way to the top so that when it's gone, it looks like it's the card that went on top, if that makes sense. Probably not. And now I'm going to find that midway point, which will be right here. Actually, I want 2 midway points. So with this one, I will create a classic tween, drop in some keyframes, and then remove the classic tween just so that it's where I need it to be. Right, because I want it to move and flip at the same time. This is advanced stuff, friends. So right here, I want to go into the transform panel. And here's where you got here's where things go really, really wacky. Oh no, wait. Oh, I was about to do something really bad and I shouldn't have. Right click, create motion tween. That was a close one. Right click over here, insert keyframe for all. Really, I don't need it for all rotation, skew, and everything, but I'm going to do that anyway, because why wouldn't you? I realize something now that I have to do. If I want this position, I'm going to use this as a reference down here. Great, here we go. It's complicated, I'm telling you. Okay, right click, create motion tween. And so on this frame, I'm just going to match the little guide that I've created down here. He's supposed to be around here, and in the transform panel. No. We're going to 3D rotate him. Which way? He should go this way. And then you're like, whoa, that's like, whoa, super 3D 1950s movie theater coming at my face. That's a lot. And that's because you can go down to 3D position and view and change it to like a like a 30 camera, which is a lot nicer on your face. Whoopsies. And instead of 109, I wanted to go kind of like right there, 89. So almost 90 degrees. Oh, looking pretty good. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to paste it here. And from here to here, nope. Get rid of this, right click. See how it's like there's a lot more going on here. Right click. Create motion tween. Right click, insert, keyframe, all. And you're going to be 0. No, you're not. Yeah, you are. You're going to be 0 in the 3D Y, but you're going to be even smaller because you're going to come down here, just here. Maybe I'll even skew it a little bit because it's skewed on the screen. It's fancy stuff, kids. I'm telling you, fancy stuff. Okay, I'm going to hide this guide layer. So you say, well, I don't see the back of the card yet, Ryan. Well, we're working on it. Just chill. Just chill. It's coming. I'll put a keyframe here or an empty keyframe. So here's what we're looking like. Cool. And that's going to look a lot better when it actually flips. It's flipping the wrong way at the end, isn't it? Yes, it's flipping backwards. So what we're going to do is go here, and instead of 89, we're going to put it at negative 89. So it'll flip the opposite way. Ah, yes. Oh, oh, ye of little faith. There we go. And now we're going to swap these and put the villain back in there. That's going to be a villain back, and this is going to be a villain back. Swap to villain back. Okay. And I'm going to get rid of this layer, make a new layer. Just bring my card out. Villain back. The reason I'm bringing it out like this is because I want it clean and unrotated, so it's very easy for me to just drop the graphic in. Otherwise, it would be maybe a little bit more challenging. Villains, villain back. There's the villain back. Now let's take a look. Pretty cool. Looks great. Now you may be wondering, like, right here, like that's like ultra pink and bright, and your photograph underneath isn't, and it's kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. And I don't believe for a second that they're in the same universe. Maybe the multiverse. Why is that? Like I said, I'm going to go through and do a color treatment process, and this is one of the sequences I'm going to look at when I'm deciding on how to treat the image so that it matches the digital graphics. Because the digital graphics I treat as perfect, and my photographs I just take in like a dingy basement. So I've got lights. I try my best. So I'm going to use post processing to brighten out that image and try to get it to match the perfect colors and presentation on the digital card that goes above. But as for now, I'm happy with this. I'm just going to hide this, save that, Control M, outnumbered footage animations. This is going to be absolute 0. Save it. Like I said before, it's going to crank every single frame out to a transparent ping. Back to Premiere. Back to my bins. Footage anims. Whoa, that's the box spartometer. Absolute 0. Outnumbered footage. I've almost shown you every single like thing that I do when I do Edit Pass B. I haven't shown you the tracing yet. There's a whole lot of tracing that comes up, so maybe we'll do a bit of that and then I can sign off. So right here, I need a hold frame. Insert frame. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not usually the way that I would do it, so it's making me nervous. Mm-hmm.
Shuffle them into one half. This bad,
Right, it's way back here that he comes in.
this bad guy is Ultimate Zero,
No, he's
the
not.
big boss. Cut the deck.
Right there.
Cut the deck, shuffle him into one half of it, and put the other half on top.
Beautiful. Now he's just missing his shadow. Now he's got a shadow.
This bad guy is Ultimate Zero, the big boss. Cut the deck, shuffle him into one half of it, and put the other half on top. That's how you make sure Absolute Zero doesn't appear until later
Absolute zero. I said it right the
in
second
the
time.
game. But you'll never be sure when he'll turn up. You're all working together to defeat the bad guys so they don't steal the Infinity Generator. Pick someone to be starting player, and that person rolls the 3 dice. You have to apply math to the numbers on the dice to match the numbers on the bad guy's cards.
So right there, here's where the tracing comes in. So match the numbers on the bad guy's cards. Well, I want to lead the eye, and if I was a standard video creator for board games, I'd put my big hairy hand in the way, but then it would be blocking the thing that I wanted to point at. So I think this is the whole thrust of the channel is hands-free tutorials. So I want to highlight the numbers on the bad guy's cards.
3 dice. You have to apply math to the numbers on the dice.
So
To the number.
So when I say numbers on the dice, and in early days, I would meticulously trace the edges of the dice, and I would make sure that get the little tail going on the. I would, really high fidelity, like faithfully trace the shapes that I'm talking about. That's not necessary. I've come to a point where I realize now that's not necessary. So I'll just call this this numbers. And I will create my very first outline file. Save that as outlines. This is going to be a big file that's going to contain all of the outlines, all of the tracing things that I do. So I'm going to go into stills, and it's going to be numbers. And I'm going to lock that, and then I think I can get away with, and I programmed a macro to do this. When I hit X, boom, it gives me a blue, down here, a blue stroke with no fill. And then I'm going to hit O for an oval. For some reason, though, it's supposed to give me a 12-point line. But usually I either do white outlines if I'm on a dark background, or blue outlines if I'm on a white thing, and white's not going to show up. These cards have white and blue on them. So I think maybe I have to pick like a different color. I have to pick like, I don't know, like a, what does Untold, not Untold, what does Knights Around a Table Green look like? Something like that. That'll kind of show up well, won't it? But it means I have to go back into my my program macro and change the color that it does. But I won't worry about those little tails. I'll just do this. And if they don't fit absolutely perfectly, it doesn't really matter, because I'm going to apply a glow to this, and it kind of covers up for, you can, like, if you're really super picky, you can see that the oval doesn't quite fit over there. It doesn't matter, because watch. I'll hit this macro, and now I have a white outline, but I want the outline to match that green that I just put on. So I'll choose like a lighter green, maybe this one. Boom. I think that shows up really nice, and it looks like atomic green, like a superhero-y kind of Ninja Turtle thing. So notice how now over here, where this was a little bit noticeable, the glow kind of smooths that over, right? I hope you agree. So I'll save that in outlines, call it numbers, because I like the names to match. And I need one more for this sequence, because I'm talking about just the numbers on the dice. So The easiest way to do that is just to draw 3 circles on top of the dice instead of going in and meticulously tracing the rounded rack edges of those dice. So control, and then again, if I had the macro program correctly, I would make it that color instead. And so I'll call this dice, no problem. And I keep an Explorer folder off on this monitor over here that you can't see, and I keep it constantly open to the outlines folder, and I just keep the outlines bin open here so you can see what I'm doing. Make sure to take off the preview pane because it's annoying, and then I'll go into details and I'll sort it by date so that the new ones that I add always end up at the end. That makes sense in large icons. And that means that once that's all set up, I can very easily, as I say it, my windows disappear. I clicked the wrong thing. Very easily just click and drag stuff from my Explorer folder into the bin, which I'm doing secretly on this other monitor. Once it's all set up, we're fine. Dice and numbers. Let me just sort my bin. So when you do that, it doesn't always sort it the way you want. You get a lot of sorting options here. So if you sort by user order, it'll sort it by like last in will be at the end, which is what I want.
Apply math to the numbers on the dice.
Trim that, put a cross dissolve
To the numbers on the dice to match the
right here. Put our
numbers on the bad guy's cards.
And then trim it right around there, and then put a cross dissolve so that it fades out.
Cards. Then
Beautiful. So one more time.
Math to the numbers on the dice to match the numbers on the bad guy's cards. Then you get to knock those villains off the board.
Okay, so that's what the tracing step looks like. So the last two things that I want to show you, I won't go through the rest of the entire thing. So that's where we are. We're at minute 126 of 8, almost 9 minutes. Just to give you an idea of how long the process. Of course, it goes a little bit faster when I'm not blah, blah, blah on a live stream. But the last things I wanted to show you were the color treatment and what I do to the audio after this whole edit pass B is complete. So it's a lot of tracing, a lot of creating those custom animations. And like I said, I wanted to make sure that it matches. Like if the assets that the client provided me are perfect, then I want to try to make my photography match the asset colors as closely as possible. So I'll start here and I'll click it, and there's this filter called Lumetri Color. Lumetri, I think, is a company that made this colorization plugin, and I think they were purchased by Adobe so that they can incorporate it and make it part of the whole package. I think that's what it is, unless Lumetri is a camera company. I don't know, you can tell me. So gives us all kinds of options, and I'm just kind of learning. But I mean, the one thing I'll do is usually I'll crank the exposure up by 0.5 so it makes the whole thing a bit brighter. I'll maybe turn the highlights up a little bit, and it's just like a taste thing, like you're done when it looks good sort of thing. But that already is getting it like a lot closer, right, to the card. I think the whites need to be turned up a bit more to be a little bit of a better match. But already that looks like a lot brighter and a lot closer to the card.
This bad guy.
So yeah, look at the difference, eh? When we oh, like that looks like super muddy, and that looks like super bright and cool. So once I get something I like, and I'm not too picky, I like that. If the whole video looked like that, I would be pretty happy with it. I'll go into the effect controls, I'll copy that, and I'll just go through from the beginning to the end and just paste it on every single clip, because I shot everything on the same day under the same lighting, and it's all going to have the same degree of muddiness to it. And the theory is if I apply the same color filter to everything, then everything's going to look beautiful the way it should. Very occasionally it'll be like the camera was too close, and so the shots are darker, or something else happened and a certain batch of shots needs a different color treatment approach to it, and so I'll just skip those and then make their own Lumetri color profile filter and go and copy paste that on top of all of those special ones that are a different case. But like look at this
This
now.
bad guy is Ultimate Zero, the big boss. Cut the deck, shuffle him into one half of it.
You know, cool. I'm happy with that. I'm going to take those off just because I'll forget later when I actually go through and do this process at the very end once edit pass B is complete. Wow, look how much muddier it gets, eh? Woo. So then the very last thing I'll do, the last step in this, you are here, this whole process down here, you see, oh, I don't even have it on there. Just because they only take that step of coloring everything only takes like 10-15 minutes depending on how long the video is. And then this one is even faster. You hit Control M. You want the audio to sound really good. Good audio is more important than good video, if you believe it, because people will forgive what their eyes perceive, but they can't stand crappy audio. People will tune out if it doesn't sound good. So it already sounds okay, but to make it sound even better, I'll crank it out to, let's say, so I'm going to save the entire audio track with the sound effects and any music that I've thrown in there to, where the heck are we? Outnumbered. So I'll call this like outnumbered, HTTP voiceover unedited. So that's going to be my raw thing, and I'll hit export. And this is a short video, so it won't take very long to export it. Meanwhile, while that's chugging away, I'll open up this program that I hinted at earlier in the live stream. This is called Levelator, CN Levelator. It's a free utility and it's amazing. It's the thing, and other software will do this. I just don't feel that they do it as well or as easily. I just really like the way that Levelator does this. So what it does is you can take now your file that I just created. So that's the whole audio track, not any of the video, and drag it onto CN Levelator. And then Levelator goes through the whole thing and figures it out and makes everything generally the same volume so that it's, there aren't big peaks and valleys in it. It just smooths everything out. So it's going to chug away there. And when it's finished, 52%, 82%. Okay, so it's finished. It drops a file in here that just appends .output to it, and I like really obvious naming to help myself, so I just call this levelated just to help me remember it. No, whatever opened, I don't want you open. I did not do that on purpose. Uh-oh, that's a bad thing. I think, was that Edge? If that was Edge, we're hosed. I'm hosed. You're hosed. Because there's a bug with Edge that acts up with the external number pad that I have. There's some sort of bug, and when Edge or Chrome load, and sometimes they do, because Edge is integrated into the whole operating system, so if you accidentally mistype when you're opening a piece of software, it thinks you want to search Bing in Edge for it, and it opens up Edge, and then Edge acts up with my number pad, and it pooches the whole system. Hopefully we caught it in time. If not, that's it. I'll have to unplug the computer for the wall to end the live stream. Hopefully that's not the case. So this last step, we open up Adobe Audition. Uh-oh, that's a bad sign. This is making me really nervous. I think Edge opened. Well, dicey. Am I still streaming? I think so, yes. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yep, this is what happens. Edge has screwed it all up. That sucks. I'll see if I can get through this last little bit. I will open. Yeah, my mouse is not responding properly. So I'll open the levelated file. Why does it say processing opening Premiere Pro project? Oh man. I opened the wrong file. That's why. Close all. Yeah, when my mouse isn't working because of Edge, it's a bad thing. So levelated. Open this, please. See, it's not even responding. Open. Okay. And I have a number of processes that I apply to it. So one of them is like a voice thickener that makes my voice sound much more rich and meaty than it does in real life. And so this is like the Instagram effect of me putting a nice polish on that doesn't exist. And there are a couple of other things, but I have them all saved as like a macro. So I'll just hit the Knights Around a Table thing. And you can see, by the way, like that whole waveform looks pretty uniform. And then it does that to it. And then the last thing that I forgot to put in the macro originally, so I have to add it manually every single time. So we want amplitude and compression. This is again in Adobe Audition, and I'll hit hard limiter and hard limit it to -3 decibels. So it'll trim all those peaks and valleys off so that it never goes. Here's the 3 decibel line right here, so that nothing goes above the 3 decibel line or this -3 decibel line. Is it -3 or -6? I think it's -3. Yeah, -3. So there's the very lowest it'll go. And that just makes sure that, like, I don't know, if you watch other people's videos, and some of mine, when I didn't know what I was doing, it'd be like, oh, the music's so loud. Oh, why does it come in so hot? So that smooths all that out and prevents it. So I'll hit save as, and I will, oh, my keyboard's not going to work because we opened Edge. I hit save as, I save it as the edited file. I go back to Premiere. It's a problem. It's a problem. And I'll mute everything, create a new track, and I'll drag the pristine audio file in there. My voice will sound a lot better, and it'll be a much more enjoyable experience to watch. Unlike what this is about to turn into, because we've opened Edge, you guys. Edge has been opened. It's like the tomb of so-and-so, and evil is spilled out. Thank you very much for joining me on this live stream anyway. I have all kinds of animations that I could show you to implore you to click the subscribe button and come back me on Patreon and all that stuff. I can't trigger any of them because my keyboard's not going to work. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to end this live stream without having to shut down power to the house. But thank you for joining me for this work session where I show you how Edit Pass B works when I make my videos. It's a ton of work, right? I don't know if you saw anything in here and you think, man, he's doing that the slow way. He should really da-da-da-da-da. By all means, please tell me. I would like to know faster ways to do all the things that I'm doing. I will catch you in the next episode. And if you're around tomorrow, if you're watching this real time, come and watch me play with me as I play Tiny Epic Galaxies. Thank you so much.